Welcome back, guys. Or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous, and that's the brand spanking new 2026 Subaru Outback. But more specifically, this is the Apex trim level, the Touring XT. So it has a big turbocharged boxer engine under the hood, a lot of creature comforts, and a lot that we need to talk about. In addition to being in River Rock Pearl paint, which is a fantastic color on this all-new 7th generation. But despite this being one of the best mid-size SUVs you can buy, and that's coming from a former 6th generation Subaru Outback Wilderness owner, it's not perfect. So today I'm going to share the good, the bad, and the ugly about the 2026 Subaru Outback to help you guys at home decide if it might be the right vehicle for you, or if you should leave it at the lot and look at the other competitors. So today you can expect to see a walk around, all the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 on GPS, and then my final thoughts. And huge thanks to Twin Falls Subaru in Southern Idaho for letting me borrow this one for the day. They sell below MSRP, they ship all over the country, so I'll link them down in the description below. But also huge thanks to Superior Patio Covers in Kimberly, Idaho for sponsoring today's video, but more on them in just a few minutes. Let's dive right into this review. And thank you so much for watching car videos on YouTube, but if you get anything out of this video, you like the brand new Outback, or you just appreciate the effort it took to make the video, please consider liking it, comment your thoughts and opinions below, subscribe if you haven't already, thank you so much. But if you're new to Subaru, or their Outback, there's a few interesting things that you should probably know. Subaru is a Japanese automaker. They founded their motor division in the early 1950s, and since then they have grown to be one of the best Japanese automakers, known for building safe, affordable, and reliable vehicles. I don't think the Outback is an exception to that, which is also part of the reason why I bought my 2022 back in the day. These actually have been out since 1995, and Subaru has never taken a hiatus from producing an Outback. So although this one might not look like the wagon of the Outback of the past, it's no longer built on the Subaru Legacy platform. It is a little bit boxier, a little bit more bold, and it's going to be interesting to see how these sell. This new generation is finally assembled in Japan, because the last generation was assembled in Lafayette, Indiana. So Subaru basically did a switcheroo, trading their Forester and their Outback locations for their assembly. And historically, the Outback does pretty well for the mid-size SUV category. It sells at least 160,000 units every single year, so I am quite interested to see how this sells for this new generation. Anyways, there are about 6 trim levels that you can currently buy. The base model now starts at $35,000. That's because these have gone a little bit more pricey, and there's technically no longer a base model. Now the base model is called the Premium, but this is the Touring XT. It starts at about $48,000. After options, destination, and delivery, it's about a $50,000 Subaru Outback. So for about 50 grand, what do you get? You get a vehicle that has not yet been crash test rated, because as I film this today, it is only November of 2025, so I imagine the crash test results will come in soon. But if we look at the last generation, these were a top safety pick, a 5-star overall crash test rating, so you can expect this one to probably follow suit, to have really good crumple zones, to help slow down the impact of accidents, to help protect you, your family, and anyone else you care about riding on the interior. But if it is a top safety pick, that means even the base model, which is now the Premium, should come with a lot of active and passive safety features, like really bright LED headlights, blind spot monitoring, a bunch of parking sensors, adaptive cruise, and lane keep assist with the 3-camera 4th gen eyesight system. This one specifically, though, also has turn signals on the mirror, reverse cross-traffic alert. It also has a 360-degree camera with decent clarity, unlike the generations of the past, so that is pretty cool. But beyond that, you also have these fancy 2-tone wheels, raised roof rails, a power moonroof, leather seats, which are heated, ventilated, powered, and for the driver even have memory adjustments. You even have heated leather outboard seats in the second row, and a lot of other nice features that you'll just have to see throughout this video. But additionally, it is worth mentioning that in the next few days, I should have 1 or 2 more brand new Outback videos going a little bit over the driving impressions and the features a little bit more than we cover even in this video. And after spending a bit of time with this new generation, I do have to say, it really doesn't feel that much bigger than the outgoing generation. It does look more bold and aggressive, especially on camera, but in person, it looks to be about the same size, which is kind of interesting. Overall, it parks really well in the average size parking space, and my former Outback used to fit really well in our average sized garage. Additionally, this feels stable at highway and interstate speeds. Overall, it's about 16 feet long. The wheelbase is 9 feet, and then it's 6.16 feet wide, roughly 5.5 feet tall, and then it weighs about 3,700 pounds minimum. If it's a turbo, if it's loaded out like this one, it's probably going to be closer to 4,000 pounds. And then it can tow up to 3,500 pounds because this is a turbo power plant. If it was a non-turbo, it could tow about 2,700 pounds. And then it still has 900 pounds of payload capacity, so everything you put in the cargo area, the seats, and the roof rails, or the tongue weight, has to be less than 900 pounds to be legal. And then it has 8.7 inches of ground clearance, a 411 final axle ratio, and it can do a full circle in about 37 feet. And then the last couple things to mention out here is that the gas door is still located on the passenger side. And thankfully, when you lock the vehicle, the gas door still locks, so the bums aren't going to be siphoning any of your 18.5 gallons of gas, which is a carryover size. This thing is rated for about 21 around town, 29 on the highway in this touring trim level, so your max road trip and range is as good as about 536 miles per the APA. And then it has a square stance with the tires. It's a 225 55 19. And honestly, I do think the wheels look better in person than they maybe show up on camera, but I do wish it was just a solid black wheel. I think that'd be pretty cool. And then you have a temporary spare tire in the back. These tires are just a basic all season with about 8 to 9 30-seconds of tread. And then this is your carryover Subaru key. It does have a key hidden in the remote. I also have a bunch of secret features on Subarus if you want to watch this video next. But otherwise, you have lock, unlock, power liftgate, panic button, and just leave it in your pocket. You do have proximity key features right here to lock and unlock the vehicle. And as we get into the interior of the Outback and out of the elements, I want to give our video sponsor, Superior Patio Covers of Southern Idaho, and the surrounding towns, the surrounding states, a huge thanks. Some of you guys have seen my video I posted a few months ago where I showed you my own personal backyard. This summer we did a lot of yard work. We extended our patio, and then we had Superior Patio Covers to put up the best patio cover that I could have ever imagined. So if you guys want a great deal on one, check them out. I'll link their information below. Justin, the owner, is a very nice guy, easy to work with. And honestly, I wish we did this patio cover a few years ago because it has been fantastic. Rain, snow, sunshine, shade. We basically had all the elements here already, and it has been such a joy to have in our backyard, to be able to actually experience and use our backyard year-round. Because before having this patio cover up, honestly, we hardly ever used it other than to let the dog out. So check out Superior Patio Covers of Southern Idaho and the surrounding area. They are fantastic to work with. And now this is where things get really interesting. The window, the visibility is really good, probably pretty similar to the outgoing model. I love that you still have the cutout, the bonus window right there. You can see the blind spot monitoring, still a little bit of a turn signal right there. You can just barely see that poking around. And then the materials, the trim piece for the top portion, it's actually a little bit nicer than maybe Outbacks of the past, and it's smaller. You have a larger door card, good Hobby Lobby stitching, decent soft touch armrest, which will probably soften up even more with time. You have memory seats. You have all of your powered controls right there. You can even fold in the mirrors, which is pretty cool. And then you have Harman Kardon speakers. You have better insulation, so things in your little cubby aren't going to be bouncing around, clattering, causing noise, which is good. And then you have basically nothing on the door sill other than kind of like tire tread. You also have a rubberized mat, rubberized pedals, hood release, fuse box, knee airbag. Even on the Touring, you have some blank buttons. I'm not sure what Subaru is thinking right there. Vent, you have turn signal lighting stock. You have the paddle shifters, tilt and telescoping wheel. It is leather wrapped, it is heated, and it's very nice. And then here is the extended thigh bolstered, ventilated, heated, powered, memory adjusted leather seat. Really good, very soft. I like it a lot. There's the baby size sunroof up top. I'm surprised that this doesn't have a panoramic, especially at 50 grand. And then the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's fire it up. Let's see how responsive the screen is. This should have steering responsive headlights, a little bit of a theatrical display there, and then brand new gauges. Ooh, it's even like a sunset, like a sunrise. And then of course a big Subaru caution sign. Loading, it's taken some time. Let's move on to some other stuff. The horn, it seems to be a carryover. The paddle shifters actually work fairly decently. Visibility is pretty good. The belt line of this vehicle is equal between the doors to the dash. It's overall pretty low so you can see out of it. You also have the digital mirror with the compass, which is pretty cool. Those look like home link buttons. Comment below if you guys know for sure, because I actually do not. And then the prize jewel of this, HVAC controls. Physical, you even have a basic on and off, so it's easy to find. ventilated seats, and I love that the colors just change. You have some plugins, a wireless charger, 360-degree camera, which you can also access with just the camera button. You can even turn it on while you're driving at low speeds. It works really good. You can see your rear cross traffic alert, rear automatic braking, just all the different settings, and you can just kind of dance around and move between them, which is pretty cool. Cup holders. You have a few more controls, even a physical traction control button, which is a huge win. Unfortunately, you still have auto start stop, and then an average size center console with a little bit of a storage tray right here next to the 12 volt. Otherwise, up top, you still have a sunglass holder. You still have controls to slide or to tilt the sunroof. And then this, unfortunately, only has an extension piece. It does not slide the whole thing like it used to. And you still have an incandescent, so we can see where Subaru's trying to save some money. But overall, this is a nice upgrade over the last generation. I actually really like this trim piece. Breaks up the glass. It seems to look nice. I don't think it looks tacky in person. And then, like most Subarus, the back door panel opens up large. The window is huge. You can see how small the Maroni sticker is in comparison. You have extra window right there. Nice materials follow suit. Harman Kardon speakers back here. The seats, like the last generation, basically fold flat, and you have a lot of room even above the headrest. When you lift it up, you'll notice you have a strap. And these seats, do they recline? I'm gonna have to get in here to find out for sure. But sitting behind my driver position, I still have a lot of room in front of my knees. The leather seems to be very high quality, good stitching. Vents, heated seats, and plugins, armrest. And I guess one of the perks of not having a huge piece of glass above your head is you actually have headroom. I have like that much above my head, which is a lot more than most vehicles. And can I recline these seats? Oh no, I don't think I can. It doesn't seem to be going back beyond the latch point. So that's a big knock on this new generation. But I have to say, this rear end, I think I like it more than the last generation. And I was not expecting to say that. It is very squared off. It looks like a Santa Fe by Hyundai. But you'll notice very aggressive, bold, raised roof rails. Shark fin antenna with the same tread type of pattern that you get on the door sill. Third brake light, wiper blade, and some really cool measuring stick lights. Not sure what you're going to measure against those lights, but it's pretty cool that you can if you want to. Symmetrical all-wheel drive, Outback stamped in, and it doesn't look as tacky as I thought it would in person. I actually like that stamping. Anyways, you can open this a few different ways. I'm just going to use the button today though. Back here, you have about 34 cubic feet of room, so a little bit more than the outgoing model because it is a little bit wider, a little bit longer, and a little bit more squared off, so you can use more of the surface area or the cubic volume up high. Keep in mind though, to use all 34 feet, you actually have to stack stuff to the ceiling, which is not practical in most cases. So ultimately, 34 feet is hardly ever going to be used. And when you drop the seats, you're now up to around 76 to 80 feet, depending on the model from what I read online. Otherwise, back here, it still looks about the same. One thing that's new though, is you have a few different connection points. If you have a hanging bag, or if you have a privacy shade, this also has the handles to drop it. It has the grocery bag holders, and the Harman Kardon subwoofer. And then underneath this all-weather mat, you have a temporary spare tire, your scissor jack, and the rest of the tools that you could need. The passenger side is up next, and we're gonna find out if this offers enough for your passenger, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or your pet, whoever you're gonna bring along with you, to approve of the purchase that you are considering making with this new Outback. Powered options, nice seats, the backpack's happy. Yeah, not too much to talk about. Unfortunately, there's no transmission tunnel storage. Oh, actually there is above the glove box storage. I just barely missed that because from the driver perspective, you really can't see that. Locking glove box with the key and the remote, and then you have a little bit of storage right there. Anyways, guys, let's come around to the front, and I'll show you the FA 2.4 DIT turbo engine, which is what I used to own in my Outback Wilderness. Under the hood of the new Outback is a whole lot to talk about. First of all, the badge is part of the hood, so it lifts up. Then you have the internal hood scoop. And then you have this little bit of a furrow in the grille. Kind of interesting. You also have some history of the Boxer engine since 1966, which is pretty cool. But that's the big boy, the 2.4-liter direct injection turbo engine. So it has dual overhead camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder, and it peaks out at about 260 horsepower at 5,600 RPM, and 277 pound-feet of the twisty stuff, as low as 2,000 RPM. Still has the air filter over here, the fuse boxes on the periphery, the battery, all of the reservoirs. It still is a top-mount oil filter. Alternator is right there, serpentine belt oil dipstick, throttle body, upper intake manifold, and because this is a boxer engine, it's the only 4-cylinder style that I know of that the block is actually 2 pieces. It's mated together, but you can't really see the mating portion like you can on some of the other boxer engines. And then it has 2 valve covers, 2 cylinder heads. Kind of interesting, but these seem to be one of the most reliable modern engines, especially by Subaru. These are really good. And then it's connected to an 8-speed simulated gear CVT, which after owning 3 new Subarus, including this powertrain for 3 years, it was flawless. I loved it. It drove really smoothly. And with that said, let's drop the hood and take it for a drive. Initial driving impressions of the brand new 2026 Subaru Outback, but this is a Touring XT, so let's use the turbo and get up to speed. It maybe feels just a tiny bit heavier than the outgoing model. It is a couple 100 pounds heavier because it is a little bit bigger, but it still feels very much like an Outback. The visibility is pretty good. The B pillar's not too bad. The C and the D do get a little bit wider because of the new structure for this being a little bit more squared off, but the head slopes down while still looking somewhat aggressive. Side mirrors look like they are a carryover basically. And overall, the driving position is pretty nice. I do wish there was a little bit more storage capacity for the driver up front, maybe a little bit more, in the center console, or even a storage pocket right there, or above the glove box like there used to be. But overall, this vehicle handles really well. Feels very much like a Subaru with symmetrical all-wheel drive, having an equal amount of power going to the rear to push you forward. The steering wheel feels good. The paddle shifters actually work fairly quickly too. Not too bad. This engine though, there's not a ton of displacement, so it doesn't do a great job for engine braking. But when you slow down around a corner, it feels really good. Feels pretty planted. Powering out, partial throttle. You still can't hear the Garrett turbocharger on this, unfortunately, because it is at the bottom of the front of the engine. But overall, this is a lot of fun to drive. And for 50 grand, it does offer a lot. One of my favorite updates is physical HVAC controls, physical buttons, and they're actually adequately sized. The knobs, even for the volume, is not too small that it's hard to grab. This is actually a nice update. And honestly, if you didn't know what the outside of the vehicle looked like, the interior feels pretty similar, just modern, updated for the 7th generation of Subaru Outback. And I think even the cows would agree that this is a pretty decent vehicle. But anyways, let's get to the private road and we'll do a 0 to 60. 0 to 60 in the brand new Subaru Outback Touring XT. Keep in mind, density altitude is about 4,700 feet, so depending on how well the Garrett turbocharger compensates, we could be down on power up to 6 to 7%. Traction is off. We're gonna do a brake rev. Let's see what it can do. True 0 to 60 came in at 6.9 seconds, or a little bit faster if we don't count rollout. My final thoughts of the 2026 brand new 7th generation Subaru Outback in River Rock Pearl. Being a Touring XT is honestly, I like this vehicle a lot more than I thought I was going to. It looks way better in person than it does in video and in pictures. It also drives very much like a Subaru Outback, and it doesn't feel obnoxiously large. It feels reasonable. It feels very much like my old Outback. The 0 to 60 is still under 7 seconds, so it seems to be fairly competitive to what mine was, in the same area a couple years ago. And I love how it looks. I love how it drives. Maybe I wouldn't go for the 19-inch wheels. Maybe I wouldn't splurge on all the options. But this is a vehicle that I think I might actually consider. I drove these through several different winters, and they really handled quite well. I've always been impressed with how well Subaru symmetrical all-drive vehicles handle, because they feel very safe, especially in snowstorms. But anyways, guys, what are your thoughts? What are your opinions? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Comment below. Don't forget to leave your mother's maiden name and your social security number in case I need those for any reason. And subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video. Thank you so much for watching. And huge thanks to Twin Falls Subaru in Southern Idaho for letting me borrow one of their very first 7th generation Subaru Outbacks. See you guys.